Hi, it's Ramesha here with Vocal Bliss. Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about the transition between chest voice and head voice. This is one of the biggest hurdles that singers have to overcome in order to develop a wider range, and not just wider, but also the ability to use all those notes in such a way that you're not pushing or tensing or straining your voice, but it's actually relaxed and really healthy for your vocal cords. So you've probably all experienced what it is that I'm talking about, but you may not know the name for it. So basically, when you sing and you move up the scale towards the higher notes, there's a certain point where you start to feel tension building up in the throat. And you can tell that in order to proceed and to be able to go even higher, you have to either push and then sound louder and louder, but then the voice loses its beauty, becomes a little squished, almost like yelled than sung. And that's one way to go about it. The other way is to switch to falsetto. So you go up, ah, ah. That's the way you go up. So neither of those are very efficient ways to deal with high notes. There's a way that you can learn that it allows you to transition, but in a way that it's absolutely seamless. And so you're able to go up the scale and transition into what is called head voice, which means that you're using slightly different sets of muscles in the throat, and all of a sudden you're producing the sound in a different way. I don't need to go into the anatomy of it because it doesn't really pertain so much, because it's more about the feeling of it. So what I suggest you try, if you want to learn how to do this, and it might take a little bit of time and practice, but what I suggest you do is, instead of squeezing the throat and singing louder and louder, which is what comes natural to do, I would suggest you try to do exactly the opposite. So try to relax and maybe pull back from the volume a little bit, and try to go up and continue up, but without starting to tense and yell. So basically, this is what I'm talking about. So if we start here, so this is a transitional area for guys. Ladies, you transition a little lower. But this is, okay, this would be actually the real octave for guys. So you go, oh. So when it starts to get tense, instead of pushing harder, pull back a little and relax the throat. So, oh. If you do that, you go into a semi-falsetto sound in the beginning. It will be a little weak and a little thin. But as you practice, you will be able to maintain the contact between the vocal cords and allow the voice to stay full. And then you go up the scale and you're able to hit higher notes with full voice. This is what happens after you've practiced it enough and you're able to do it. But like I say in the beginning, it will sound more like and then you go back to your chest, and that's just fine. This is just a stage where you practice transitioning from your chest to the head, and you really practice going through that phase, that area many times like that, until your muscles get used to not pushing and constricting, but actually opening and relaxing. And this is the most important thing, because it's so ingrained as a habit in so many of us, especially when we're untrained, to just start pushing and pushing instead of relaxing. So learning to relax and open the throat is really the first step to learn to be able to then do it. So this is an exercise that you can try, just 5 notes like this, going up the scale I'm gonna start a little lower for guys. Until you hit this area, you know, when you arrive at this point where I was. And then you just go through this phase like I explained. As soon as you start to feel tension building up, relax, pull back from the volume, and relax, open the throat. And that way, and you might have to try a few times to make a few attempts, but finally you will figure out how to go through and remain relaxed and not build up tension. So, ladies, if you want to try this, your hot spot, so to speak, will start around here, around the note E4. So if you go up the scale, this is where you start to transition. So between let's say E4 and A4, that's kind of the area. So you can start maybe on C4, and then you go up slowly like this until you hit that spot where it starts to get tense and the voice wants to either push or go into falsetto. And so that's the area where you will practice transitioning from low to high. And same points that I made for guys. So pull back from the volume. Ladies usually have a much easier time transitioning to the head voice. You guys are lucky. It's physiologically easier for women. I think it's because women's vocal cords are thinner, and so it's easier to do that. I don't know, but I've rarely met a woman who has a hard time transitioning to their head voice. I met sopranos who have a hard time being grounded in their chest voice instead. But usually a head voice is not a problem. So you should be able to find this easily. And then once again, go through that transition many times. Gradually your muscles will develop and will learn all the mechanics, the micro movements and adjustments that occur as you move up the scale. And then the transition will become more and more seamless until there will be a time when you go up the scale and nobody will be able to tell that you're doing anything. You know, it's just the sound is absolutely consistent. So that's the goal, so that when you sing, there's never a gap in the sound. The sound is always present, full, resonant, and most of all, relaxed. That is so, so important. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Like I say, this is one of the big keys of singing technique, because we all want to have wider ranges. We want to be able to sing songs that have wider ranges, and so it's very, very important. So definitely take your time to work on this. Be patient. It might take some time. It took me quite a while to learn this. I was already singing before I started studying singing with my teacher, and I had a lot of bad habits. So those of you who've been singing and are trying now to learn something new, I have bad news for you. Sometimes that's harder than actually starting from scratch, because you have to undo some bad habits and then build new ones. But don't despair. It's possible. I did it. I learned. So a lot of other people I worked with did the same. So you can do it. Just take your time and don't push, don't strain. Be gentle with your voice, and your voice will reward you with beautiful, rich tone that will last for a lifetime. So I hope you enjoyed this. Good luck with your singing and with your learning. And till the next time, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.